You know what's fascinating? As men age, something remarkable happens. They develop a kind of charm, confidence, and wisdom that younger men simply don't have. But here's the problem. Most men over 60 waste this advantage completely. Women notice when a man carries himself differently, when he has life experience, subtle confidence, and emotional intelligence. And when you use it correctly, you become irresistible. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly what mature men do that women can't resist, and why most men never realize it. Before we dive deeper, a quick message. If you've been learning from my videos and you want to support this work, you can subscribe to me on Facebook with a paid membership, send stars, or join my YouTube channel's paid community. Your support helps me create more powerful content for you, and I truly appreciate every bit of it. All right, now let's continue. Sign number 1. Confidence without arrogance. Confidence is magnetic, but arrogance pushes people away. A man over 60 who knows his worth but doesn't need to prove it creates natural intrigue. Women notice subtle self-assurance, calm decision-making, gentle assertiveness, owning his space without dominating. This is the kind of confidence most men don't even realize they're missing. Here's what makes this specific kind of confidence so powerful. Younger men often confuse confidence with performance. They speak louder, they take up more space. They try to establish themselves quickly. And women feel the effort underneath all of it. But a man who has lived 6 decades or more, who has succeeded and failed and rebuilt and learned, he doesn't need to establish anything. He already knows who he is. And that knowing is something that cannot be faked. It can only be earned. So when he walks into a room and doesn't immediately try to dominate it, when he speaks and doesn't raise his voice to be heard, when he disagrees without making it a confrontation, women notice, not consciously, subconsciously. Because real confidence has a frequency, and it's completely different from the frequency of someone who's still trying to prove himself. One creates pressure, the other creates calm. And calm is something most women spend their entire lives looking for. Sign number 2, humor and playfulness. Life experience lets older men see humor differently. The ability to laugh at life, yourself, and situations draws people in emotionally. Women are attracted to men who can make them feel light, safe, and entertained, without trying too hard. And here's a trick most men forget. It's not just about making jokes. It's about making them feel comfortable and intrigued at the same time. Here's what most men get wrong about humor. They think funny means performing, telling the best story, landing the punchline perfectly, making the whole table laugh. But that kind of humor is exhausting to maintain, and women can feel when someone is performing rather than just being. The humor that actually creates attraction is quieter. It's the dry observation made just for her, the self-deprecating comment that shows he doesn't take himself too seriously. The ability to find something genuinely amusing in an ordinary moment. A man over 60 who has learned not to be precious about himself, who can laugh at his own contradictions, who finds life's absurdity more funny than frustrating. That man is rare, and rare is always interesting. Because playfulness signals something deeper than humor, it signals ease. It says, I'm not weighed down by my own image. I'm not afraid to look a little ridiculous. Life is something I enjoy rather than just endure. And that kind of lightness is contagious. She feels lighter around him, more herself, more relaxed. And the person who makes you feel that way, you want more of. Sign number 3, emotional intelligence. Older men often have life experience that teaches empathy. When you listen carefully, validate feelings, and respond thoughtfully, women notice on a subconscious level. Emotional intelligence is a massive attraction factor because it signals maturity, reliability, and safety. Let's go deeper into what emotional intelligence actually looks like in practice. Because most men think they're good listeners, but listening and truly hearing are 2 different things. Listening is waiting for your turn to speak. Hearing is tracking what someone is actually feeling beneath the words they're using. And a man who hears her, who responds to what she meant rather than just what she said, who can sit with her emotion without immediately trying to solve it, that man is extraordinary. Because most people in her life rush to fix. They give advice, they redirect, they make her feelings about something else. But a man with real emotional intelligence just stays. He doesn't panic when she's upset. He doesn't retreat when things get emotionally complex. He doesn't need everything to be resolved immediately. He can simply be present with what is. And for a woman who has spent years having her feelings managed rather than witnessed, that presence is everything. It's not a small thing. It's the thing. Sign number 4, maintaining physical presence. You don't need to be a bodybuilder. A man who carries himself well, good posture, a steady gaze, and calm movements radiates strength. Women notice energy and presence, often more than looks. Most men overlook this, but how you present yourself physically and energetically can be even more attractive than youth. Here's the truth most older men need to hear. Physical presence is not about the body you have. It's about how you inhabit the body you have. Two men can walk into the same room, same age, similar build, and one of them commands attention while the other disappears. The difference is almost never looks. It's posture. It's the pace of movement. It's the steadiness of the gaze. It's the way he takes up his space without apologizing for it and without overreaching into anyone else's. A man who walks slowly and deliberately, who makes eye contact without urgency, who sits as though he belongs exactly where he is, projects something that no amount of physical youth can replicate. He projects settledness. And settledness in a man is deeply, quietly magnetic. Because it communicates that he is not in a hurry, not chasing, not performing, not adjusting himself for the room, just fully, comfortably present in his own skin. And presence, real presence, is something you feel before you even speak to someone. Sign number 5, displaying life experience subtly. Share stories, insights, or small anecdotes without boasting. Women are subconsciously drawn to men who have lived fully. It's not about showing off money or travel, it's about wisdom and perspective. Here's the distinction that changes everything. Boasting is about impressing. Storytelling is about connecting. A man who drops the name of an expensive restaurant he visited, or mentions his achievements in the first 10 minutes, is trying to create value in her eyes. But a man who shares a small story that reveals something he learned, something that changed how he sees the world, something that shows he has lived through things and come out of them with more depth than he went in with, that man isn't trying to impress anyone. He's just interesting. And the difference is felt immediately. The stories don't need to be dramatic. They don't need to be exotic. They just need to be real. A moment of failure he turned into a lesson. A time he was completely wrong about something he was certain about. A small, ordinary experience that shifted something in him. These are the stories that create connection, because they show a man who has paid attention to his own life, who has taken it seriously, who has grown. And a man who has genuinely grown is one worth knowing more of. Sign number 6, calmness under pressure. Life teaches patience. A man over 60 who remains calm in stressful situations signals emotional stability. Women notice this because stability is rare and subconsciously attractive. Here's a subtle truth most men over 60 ignore. It's not about being exciting. It's about being reliably composed and intriguing at the same time. And here's why this pairing matters so much. Composed without depth is just flat, boring, safe in a way that creates no curiosity. But composed with depth, calm with complexity underneath, that's a combination women can't stop trying to understand. Because there's something fascinating about a man who is clearly not bothered by what bothers everyone else. It makes you wonder what he's seen, what he's been through, what he knows that you don't. And that wondering is the beginning of genuine fascination. Calmness under pressure in a man over 60 also carries a particular weight, because it's earned. A young man who seems unbothered might just be inexperienced. But a man who has lived through enough to know that most crises are survivable, who has perspective that only comes with time, his calm means something different. It's wisdom wearing the face of patience. And wisdom is something youth can never offer. Sign number 7, showing authentic interest without clinginess. Ask questions, show curiosity, but avoid being needy or overbearing. Women respond positively to men who are emotionally available, yet self-sufficient. It's a delicate balance. Most men either overdo it or miss it completely. Let's talk about what gets this balance wrong. On one side, the man who shows no real interest. He talks about himself. He gives surface-level responses. He's present physically, but absent emotionally. Women feel this absence immediately, and it creates distance rather than connection. On the other side, the man who overinvests too quickly. He texts too much. He asks where things are going before they've begun. He makes her feel like a solution to his loneliness rather than a person he's genuinely curious about. And that pressure collapses the attraction before it has a chance to breathe. The balance sits between these two extremes. A man who asks real questions, who listens to the answers as though they matter, who follows up on things she mentioned before, who is clearly paying attention, but who also has a full life outside of this interaction, who doesn't need her to complete him, who is interesting enough on his own that his attention feels like a gift rather than a need. That's the balance. And a man over 60 who has done the internal work to get there is genuinely rare and genuinely magnetic. Sign number 8, maintaining mystery. Don't reveal everything about yourself immediately. Leave room for curiosity. Women are attracted to men with depth, layers, and subtle intrigue. Here's what mystery actually means, and what it doesn't. It doesn't mean being cold. It doesn't mean being evasive or playing games. It simply means not emptying yourself into every conversation. Most people, when they're nervous or eager to connect, overshare. They fill silence with information about themselves. They leave nothing for the imagination. And the result is that there's nothing left to discover. But a man who is comfortable enough in himself to let the conversation breathe, who answers questions without monologuing, who shares enough to be interesting but not so much that the picture is complete, leaves her with something to think about afterward. And the thinking is where attraction deepens. When she goes home and finds herself replaying the conversation, wondering about something he said, wanting to know more about a story he only partially told. That's mystery doing its work. A man with a full, rich, complex interior life doesn't need to narrate all of it immediately. He can let it emerge slowly, over time, in layers. And a woman who keeps discovering new layers never runs out of reasons to be interested. And now, the final and most powerful factor. This is the one that really makes women notice older men differently than younger men. Sign number 9, confidence in life choices. The ultimate trait? A man over 60 who knows his values, has direction, and stands by his decisions without fear of judgment radiates irresistible power. Women notice, subconsciously. It triggers respect, admiration, and curiosity. And once that happens, attraction follows naturally. Here's why this sign sits above all the others. Because everything else on this list can be learned. Posture can be corrected. Humor can be developed. Listening skills can be sharpened. But the confidence to stand by who you are and the choices you've made, that comes from somewhere deeper. It comes from a man who has stopped waiting for the world to confirm that he's on the right path, who has made peace with his history, who has decided what matters to him and organized his life around it, who doesn't bend his values to fit the room, who doesn't apologize for where he is or who he's become. That kind of settled, self-directed confidence is rare at any age, but in a man over 60, it's extraordinary. Because it can only come from one place, a life actually lived, choices actually made, lessons actually learned. And a man who carries all of that without bitterness, without regret dominating his presence, with openness to what's still ahead, is someone a woman wants to be near. Not to fix him, not to complete him, but simply because being near him feels like being near something solid, something real, something that won't shift with the wind. And in a world where so much feels unstable, that solidity is the most attractive thing of all. What all 9 traits have in common. Step back for a moment, because every single trait on this list points to the same thing. A man who has done the work. Not the work of becoming more impressive, the work of becoming more himself. More settled, more honest, more at ease with exactly who he is and what he values. And that kind of man doesn't need to chase attraction. He generates it, quietly, consistently, without effort. Because it's not coming from a performance, it's coming from the inside out. Most men over 60 have everything they need to be magnetic. They just haven't been told to stop hiding it. Final layer. So now you see it. It's not about looks, it's not about money, it's about subtle confidence, emotional intelligence, calmness, playfulness, life experience, mystery, and independence. Most men waste it because they underestimate these traits. They think age works against them. It doesn't. Age is the ingredient that makes all of this possible. The calm was earned, the humor was learned, the wisdom was lived. And when a man stops hiding those things and starts letting them show, women can't resist. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to explore more female psychology, attraction, and relationship insights, check out the other videos on this channel. Once you start noticing these subtle behaviors, you'll see a completely new level of attraction unfold, no matter your age. Now tell me, which of these traits are you already using? And which ones do you need to develop